Introduction to morphological analysis. There are two complementary approaches to morphology, analytic and synthetic. So two basic approaches which help us in the analysis and which help us synthesize different components of words. So we have different principles for this, to do this job, right? The principal one is formed with the same meaning and the same sound, shape in all their occurrences are instances of the same morpheme. For example, let's take the morpheme ing that we generally put after verb. If you look at the meaning of the morpheme, it remains constant in all the words that it is attached with. Similarly, if you take a plural morpheme, it will give the same meaning to a noun whenever we find. So, if a morpheme has the same shape and the same meaning in different circumstances, when we say different circumstances, we mean in different words, in different places, and it remains constant, it means that it is the same morpheme. Principle 2. Forms with the same meaning but different sound shapes may be instances of the same morpheme if their distribution do not overlap. Let's look at morphs. They are the variant of a morpheme. They have different shapes, right? But their distribution does not overlap. For example, if the last sound of the word is a voiceless, this S plural morpheme will pronounce as sir, right? As in cat, cats, because the last sound of the word cat is voiceless. But if it is voiced, dog, the sir will pronounce as z, and this is a rule and they do not overlap each other. So it means that they are instances of the same morpheme, right? They are different in sound and shape, but their distribution does not overlap and they are the instance of the same morpheme. So they are they are variants. For example, seat, we have sir, shade, z, shades, hedge, hedges, is, us, ox, oxen, and fish, a zero morpheme. So a zero morpheme has to be there where there are other morphemes, right? So principle 3. Not all morphemes are segments. For example, if you look at the word select and add a past morpheme with it, it becomes selected. The segment of the first of the word remains same. But there are certain verbs in English language in which the first segment does not remain the same, right? So we referring to that phenomenon of the language that not all morphemes are segmental. Morphemes can be pronounced in some sense, chicken, the, un, eyes, they'll remain same, right? Wherever they go. You can make chickens, the remains the, un remains un, eyes remains eyes, right? But some morpheme can't be pronounced on their own, dependent on the other morphemes for their realization. For example, in English, as we said, that alternation of vowels within a segment especially differentiate between basic and past forms of the verb. This rule that alternation is possible is known as ablaut. So you can see examples like run, ran, speak, spoke, eat, ate, which is an example of vowel alternation as known as ablaut. So principle 4. A morpheme may have 0 as one of its allomorphs provided it has a non-zero allomorph. So a morpheme will have zero morpheme only when it is contrast with a zero morphemes. That means that if we as in English word we have s or s, z as allomorphs of plural allomorph, and we have zero morpheme with word like fish and deer. So zero morpheme exists because it has a contrast of other allomorphs. If a language does not have a contrast with other morpheme, it cannot have a zero morpheme. For example, we can see this phenomenon in Japanese language. So in Japanese, where kana means both singular fish and plural fish, we cannot say that the word kana can have a zero morph because it does not have contrast with a other allomorph. For example, skana zero morpheme is not possible. It will be an incorrect word in Japanese language, as no contrast with a non-zero allomorph exists in Japanese language. So for any language to have a zero morph, it needs to have other allomorphs as well.